The views, opinions, and content provided by our host and guests are just that, opinions and views that are not intended to malign any group, religion, business, individual, or thing. That said, please know that many of the stories shared and topics we discuss on this podcast contain disturbing or emotional content, which may be triggering. As I mentioned on my social media accounts, I basically come with a trigger and content warning, but with lots of love and compassion. This podcast is conducted in a long-form interview style with the hope of capturing some of the deeper considerations and details around survivors' stories. We also hope to help those on the outside who are caring about survivors in a group of high demand, high control, by sharing their perspective and struggles, and also expert voices intended to help us unpack some of the complicated considerations around topics related to cults. Welcome back. And as a reminder, we leave off in the conversation where Ryan is explaining the element of exploitation, and I should say deprivation as well, as Father Bing is collecting money from families for projects, but the projects are not completed, and the community is deprived of the basics. So I'll share a little from where we left off, and welcome back to part 2 of the 3-part interview with Ryan Hernandez.
We had like the worst clothing. Like if your shoes broke, well, good luck. You're gonna have to walk barefoot for a while, or tough luck. So all that. So that for me is exploitation. They were exploiting us. They were presenting to the families that, hey, we need to fund them. But that money didn't come to us. And then we're doing fasting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so it's like, but then they would say, look at the other religious communities. They eat normal because they're gluttonous, they're lazy, they're bad pretty much. But look at us. We fast. Like, look how more virtuous we are. So although, and the superiors would tell us, although you are with stomach pains, and I think some actually even developed ulcers, you're doing this for the love of God. Whereas the other communities, if you leave here and you go there, you can't be guaranteed the same holiness that we're going to guarantee you here.
Right.
But the thing is that this money is flowing in from rich benefactors who are thinking that this money is going to help not only the brothers, but also the sisters. And all together, this is like around 2005 to 2008, there are probably like 1,000 members. And it's like, well, where is this money going? And it's not even going to our food. Sometimes on a regular eating day, sometimes it will just be rice, water, and salt. That's it. Good luck.
Wow, man.
But I remember, like towards the end of my second year, because they did try, Father Bing did try to make it appear as a religious community, and he's tricking the Catholic Church. So he's saying, oh, we're following all the guidelines, but in the back we're going in secret to the other dioceses. But anyways, so part of the Catholic Church, like for religious communities, is if you make vows, I think it has to be like a public thing. So I remember leading up to it, some of the parents of the when I say foreign brothers, I mean those who are non-Filipino. Some of the parents of the non-Filipino brothers, their parents were going to be coming in.
Yeah.
So now the superiors were like, okay, like in 2 months, some of your parents are going to be here. All right, everyone, give them more food. And I'm thinking, like, why is that? Oh, because they might not understand the austerity. They might not understand the virtue that we're giving you. So we need to fatten you up, pretty much.
They might not understand why you're emaciated.
Yeah, and I'll show you pictures of I only have like maybe 1 or 2 where I was just skin and bones. I mean, like the lowest that I know I was 115 pounds, but I'm sure I would have been even less. But I never, I mean, There's no way, there was no way to calculate things. We didn't have a scale. We didn't have mirrors. You can't look, if there's a mirror, you can't look at yourself because that's sin of vanity. They shaved our heads so that we're all one. And then they're saying that this is just a way to strip you of your self-will, self-love, because if you're all one, then you can build on Christ. So it was just so much going on at this point.
Did that incident where the parents are showing up, did it shake anything up?
For me, I was kind of upset because my parents couldn't come.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like I was like I felt a bit, because I try, even back then, I try to be a genuine person. And it's like, why am I going to invite my parents if they're infested by demons? It's like, and like here they're telling us, yeah, invite your parents, but it's more of a money grab because they know that many of the parents are going to come to give donations. So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have my parents come. It's like, if they're demonically infected, like if they're infested, why am I going to lie? Why am I going to pull their leg?
Yeah.
And have that fake.
You registered it as manipulative.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that, but I was just like, it's not right. And so my parents would ask, "Hey, like when can we come visit?" And it's like, "Don't come, like don't worry." But the thing is that also when we do phone calls, they'd be monitored, so you have to make a phone call with someone.
Would your family members know that?
I don't know. Um, I remember when I called my brother when he was still a member. Um, he had a lot more freedom, and then he'd say, "Oh, they're telling me like my time's up." But in my time, they stand next to you. So it's just it was like for my brother's time and my time, it's just two different worlds. And when we share our stories, it doesn't have a reflection with
Yeah.
each other.
Right. Distinct times, as you said. And cults do this where they go through these phases and kind of rebirths of branding, of a name, of a
Mm-hmm.
structure, you know. Okay, so what happens from this time moving forward?
So after I took my vows, it was like the proudest moment of my life
All
because
right.
it's like you've made it. Now you're in this group, and they would tell
You've
us.
sacrificed a lot. You know,
I,
you've really in your being, you have really worked for it. I mean, you've sacrificed and you've suffered, and this is the culmination of all that work coming together, right?
but I'm also programmed. I'm programmed to live in this commune and just do what I'm told. And I have become like an infant again. I am totally dependent on what they tell you to do. Like you can't do anything without permission. You can't look outside. You can't even use the restroom. You have to ask permission for everything. And so I have become at this point like the perfect robot. And in our minds, it's like you're becoming a soldier for Christ. You have to be more all you at all times. You have to be disciplined. You have to be like in the strict, stiff posture. And it was weird, but it's like you can't be lazy. Like if you slouch, lazy, sin. So it was very. Um, I felt proud. It's like, wow, I made it. But now it's like it hadn't hit me that I can be in this place for the rest of my life. Like I didn't look at time. All I was seeing was the now because the end is right around the corner. So what started happening was now after we took our vows, now you do some missionary work here, some missionary work there, very small, like a 1 day thing or a 2 hour event of praying with people. But then it's like you're they put me in college. Father Bing made a college, and it's like his story was because usually, and I mentioned it earlier, my brother was going to be sent to Australia to study in the university, the Catholic college there, which is for the general can be for anybody. Not even, I think even non-Catholics can attend these things and just study, get a degree, whatever. But Father Bing was saying in Rome, we had some missionaries who became infested because they went to the Catholic university there. And what happened was they started questioning me because they got infested by these liberal lunatic theologians who are not really the best of the best. So I'm going to make my own school. And who are the theologians, the teachers? Our own members.
Right.
And they're not even theologians, so like they get like regular books and read chapter this and that. It's like it was just BS. It's not a real school, and there's not even books. So there was fraud committed where, like, what bothered me was I was like, hi, I don't have high school, like how is this going to work? And they were like, oh, it's okay, it's an ecclesiastical degree, it has nothing to do with the world, so you're okay. But in the end, it's like, no, I mean, there still are the proper steps. It's not even the Catholic Church when it comes to schooling, you can't just bullshit it. Here in this group was they started off going to Rome, but now our founder, Father Bing, is like, no, the rest of the church, you know, going back to the us versus them, they're bringing the members away from us. So it was really bothering me where I'm taking 3 years, 3 or 4 years of philosophy. We have very few books. Like my main resource was Encarta, or like the software on an old computer. So this isn't even internet. This is like old school 2003, CD-ROM.
Yeah.
That's not enough. And it's supposed to be that, we're the way Father Bing presents it in his retreats, all of these students, all these members, they're taking philosophy, they're taking theology. We need to please like send your help, send your money. And there's not even like real books, or it's not, it was just a mess. And I felt bothered because I felt like I'm lying because they're saying this, oh, it's a ecclesiastical degree. And I'm thinking, well, that's not real. Like, I mean, the church isn't stupid. I mean, if I'm going to get ordained, there has to be like a bishop and everything. It's like I felt bothered, but then I bury that,
Yeah.
those thoughts, those emotions. But it bit me in the ass later because like when I left the community, I didn't even have a high school diploma, but that was years later.
That is so intense. So you're actually in this university, his Father Bing's university.
It's just in our room, it's like, all right, class, or it's in the kitchen. All right, class, y'all, and we did have like a school in the place where we were kicked out. So in the Philippines, there's this thing called CHED, College Education Department, something like that, where for a school to be official, there have to be delegates who go and check it out. So since we were kicked out from this place, from that diocese, I remember like in the middle of the night again, all right, everybody get in the bus. We're going back there. So we go back there, and now we're no longer dressed as brothers. We're no longer dressed as religious. We're dressed like in regular school uniforms. And we are pretending like we have a fake library where all these books that are from like donors. They're there, but we can't read it. It's like we're never going to read these things. I mean, they're there, and then the CHED officials come and they see like we have like computers. They see like our science lab, and it's all just it was a fraud. And I asked like, hey, how about me? Like, I don't have a school visa. Like, I'm not even like official. Like, how is that going to work? And they were like, yeah, good thing for bringing that up. If they see you, just well, try to avoid them, but just try to avoid them. Accidentally, we bumped into each other, and then the superior presented me to these officials, And of course, it's obvious I'm not Filipino,
Yeah.
but my founder was, I mean, the superior was like, oh, here is our janitor. He's a volunteer janitor. He's from Mexico. Doesn't speak much English, so he's already like built this platform for me. I'm just following along. I'm just method acting, and I'm like, hola, it's just I'm bullshitting because it's like, and in my head, I'm thinking this isn't right.
Yeah.
This is deception, but uh now I every time there's like a deception or like a red flag, I fall back to one of their teachings. Father
Yes.
Bing would say that the highest law in the church is the salvation of souls. So if we're doing something, it's because we're saving souls. So for me to obey the superior and just go with it, I'm saving souls. So, but in my head, I'm like, man, I'm thinking, man, asshole, I'm not even Mexican. I'm Salvadorian, but I can't do anything, and I'm just like, hola, and like I'm already learning the Filipino language a little bit. Like I would, in a normal circumstance, I would love to communicate and be like, hi, I felt stolen, no, that I was robbed because the idea I had was I'm gonna finish my high school. I'm going to join this missionary group. I'm going to have a legit studies, and the way it should have gone down to me is I should be a college a student at this college, and I should be able to walk with dignity and shake their hands and have that pride and be like, yes, I'm a student here, welcome. And I could have probably said that in the language, in the Filipino language, but it's like they've robbed me
Yeah.
from that. So yeah, I was pissed, but I had to ignore it.
Then what?
Well, then um, we do our thesis. We finish our philosophy. But the hard thing was that the Filipino members, the Filipino citizens, because through this fraud, it does become a school because I mean,
Yes.
they don't see the deception.
Right.
And me, the deception is the will of God.
Yeah.
So what happens is they graduate, I don't. And it's like, and I think I'm not sure if before the graduation or after, because it was a hard time for me. Because like, man, it's pissing me off.
Yeah.
But they sent me to back to America to go back to our mission house in Delaware. And what they told me was, the mission in Delaware needs your help. Um, you need to help uh, a certain priest, the superior there. You're just going to be there for 3 months. Okay. But
And this
when
is after now, how long have you been in the Philippines?
3 years. So I went to the Philippines, or maybe 4 years. I went in 2005, like towards the end of 2005, October. And then I returned to Delaware in 2009. So it was like 3.5 years that I was in the Philippines.
And I want to ask you a little, Ryan. I'm
Yeah.
curious about this. It sounds like with the way you've described things, there would be no room for this. But tell me a little bit about what was happening for you relationally with any of the other brothers or members. Were you allowed to connect? Were you allowed
Uh,
to have relationships?
well, they taught us to have detachment, so we can really be close. But I did, and even now I have like I don't talk to them, but there's still like this friendship, this bond where we went through so much. But even as these things were going on, I'm starting to see like the older members kind of questioning, like, this isn't why we joined. We joined to be a Catholic group. So I'm starting to see that, but they're quiet. But
Yeah.
it's starting very little, really very subtle. Um, and it's funny you talk about relationships because it's supposed to be in the Catholic setting, you have to be sure. And there is this freedom for you to properly discern. But I haven't discerned. I've just done what they told me to do.
Yeah.
And what they told me was I'm going to be a missionary. And there are times when we are on a compound and it's literally a cage. Like it's like a building. It's like 3 or 4 floors. And like on the top, it's literally a cage. All we have is a basketball court, which we're allowed to play the basketball to, get
Move.
get a breather movement. But it's prison, and you can't go. If you go out, you have to look down. You can't look around because Father Bing said it in one of his talks. The people who are looking at you are sending curses. So you have to make sure your eyes are down. You have to pray the whole way. When you get back, the priest needs to do like a deliverance prayer. So it's really our relationship with each other was we had friendships, but we still had to have detachment. And with the world, oh goodness, you had to be if you are to look at people,
You're at risk.
you're at risk of being contaminated.
Yeah.
So I remember because we it was like a fence, like a cage, and I remember like sitting in the corner where you can see the city. It's a small town. It's in it was the name of it is Calios Laguna. So we're in Calios Laguna, and I'm looking. It's a small town, but I see the cars below, and I see the people walking, to and fro, but I can't look at the people. Like I look at the cars or like the squirrel. Not they don't have squirrels, but like they had other animals. But I
Yeah.
see these animals, scampering around. But I remember like just chilling and just thinking to myself, well, damn, I haven't seen a woman in over a year. I really remember just thinking that I haven't seen a woman in over a year. Like, what's going to happen?
Wow.
Like, if I'm going to be a missionary or a priest, like, am I supposed to be normal? Like, am I normal? So it was really like all these questions of like, what is this kind of formation where they taught us you're going to be a missionary helping the church, but then they put you in prison, and that prison is they call it's a formation to help you be so to help you be more virtuous, but also a novice means no vice. So we're gonna take away your vices. But I'm like, man, this sucks, dude. Like how am I going to react when I see a woman for the first time and it's been over a year?
Well, and you're also processing, especially around that age, you're processing that there's normal biological development. It's like that's happening, an awareness on some level, but you have to completely deny it, you
You have to
know,
completely deny it. Yeah.
and especially around sexuality and all of that. I mean, for the men that literally grow up in these environments where the message is just that you're a sinner, having any desire to experiment or explore in these normal ways. I mean, it is just so unhealthy and detrimental. So I like the way that you phrase it, Ryan, because the way that you phrased it, that's how I connected to it, was almost like something's happening for you, even on a biological level, that you're having to question. Something doesn't feel right about me if I haven't put my eyes on a woman. Like, that's not normal. And then that creates something abnormal. So do you feel, if you don't mind my asking, especially this practice of not looking at anyone, do you feel like that had any kind of longer repercussions, or did that affect you actually when you did get out? Or
Well, that's actually going to something really uh, darker. It's a simple question, but in my case, and other members got pissed off at me for sharing my story because my story it changes. And you're talking about like about that being isolated from human touch, human connection. I guess skipping over when I came back home, my mom she shared with me that she noticed something off. And I said, well, what was that? And she goes, you would react to human touch. Like she's like, when I would like touch you or hug you, I would like, and I didn't know it. But the thing is that so what happened when I went back to America in Dover, Delaware, kind of like skipping a little bit here too, was like maybe in my second year, I was put in solitary confinement. And so I'm away from everybody. And like if I see people, I'm supposed to be a missionary. So like, if they're visitors, I gotta act normal. But then it's like when they leave, I gotta be, back to my cell, and I feel like a freak show just staying in my cell. So I think all of that, and then being isolated, and then it became more of an end times. So after my solitary confinement I was in solitary for like 9 months to a year in a chapel. I got in an argument. I went on mission, I guess, to like help me get a break, and so I won't break. They allowed me to go on mission in Puerto Rico. So it was cool. I was like, finally, I can do what I signed up for. I'm using my Spanish skills, and I'm not with the group. I mean, I'm with the group, but also I'm with regular people from regular parishes,
And
and you're
sorry,
praying with them.
this is after the solitary confinement, or this
Yeah,
is leading up to it?
this is after the solitary confinement.
Okay, so you're like, freedom here, I can be
Yes.
with others, and
And I'm about 24, 23 at that time. So I'm still quite young. But then it's like, so everything's going good. But in this cult movement that I'm in, we have different branches. You have, the brotherhood that I was in, and then there are like three different sister communities that Father being created. And one of those sister communities, I think that I don't know what's going on, but there's like another cult thing going on with them, where it's even something mysterious, where there's like, I don't know, it's just weird. But
I'm sure
anyways,
it is, because if he's running it and he's abusive in the way that he is to you, then he was certainly doing that in the female community.
well, but this female community, because there was three, but this one in particular, they're called the Sith, the Secular Institute of the Two Hearts, and their leader, the one that Father Bing put in charge, or their superior, her name is Agnes Frias. They call her real name is Bam, supposedly. I don't know. There's so many nicknames, but they call her Mother. I refuse to call her Mother because she's just a pain in the ass, and there's nothing motherly about her.
Yeah.
So Agnes, she's in charge of the Sith sisters, and from what I've been told, the Sith sisters have been given the obedience to be snobby, because by being snobby, they're helping other members of the different communities to be holy. So it's like the more pain, the more gain,
Yes.
right? So by giving this obedience, you're helping the members. But I just got out of solitary confinement. I've been programmed so much to have my hands in prayer, and be humble, and to ask for punishments. I'm sorry, please, give me the punishment. I've been programmed so much, but I'm still Ryan deep within.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think I've established also that as you rise the ladder, more pain. So now our sleep schedule is like, sleep time is like 9 or 10 p.m. Rising time is at 12:45 a.m. So it's like 2 to 3 hours. Pray, and then you got to pray for like 7 hours, and then missionary work. So, anyways, I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm having a blast. I'm, with the students. I'm with families, and it's cool. And I'm using Spanish, and we're playing basketball. It's something which I finally feel purpose.
Yeah.
Cool. And we're there for like 2 weeks. And at the end of the 2 weeks, because we're preparing for Father Bing to come to give his retreat, the day Father Bing comes, he comes with those sisters. So Father Bing and the Sith, they always go hand in hand, which is a question for me, because it's like, if you're like, especially in Catholicism, you should be closer to the male community. and Agnes should be the one more with the female, but whatever. These are questions that you allow to go over your head.
Yep.
So one of these members of the Sith was just a complete bully, and they were complaining that they were too far away from Father Bing. Because, like I said, I was there for 2 weeks and we're staying at a parish. So I arranged that me and the male missionaries, we would stay like in the priest house, or like in the where that community where they gave us for Father Bing and for us, and that the sisters would stay next to the convent in Puerto Rico. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
What happened was at 11 p.m. and I've just started sleeping. They get pissed off and they started making this commotion. Oh, we're so far away from the priest. Someone might break in. We might get violated. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell is this all about? And I'm pissed off because they just woke me up from so I'm supposed to be humble, take it, and offer it up to God. This is God's gift. But coming out of solitary confinement and coming from that, Salvadorian background where my family did go through hardships and, there were bullies in California or, people who look down on us. It's not hell with that. You're gonna speak up. And so I told her off, like, hey, like, shut the hell up. I don't know what I said, but she started shaking. And I kind of got afraid because I had never spoken up in all my years. What happened from that event was I got in trouble. I got removed from the mission in Puerto Rico and got sent back to Delaware as a punishment. And I was so pissed off. But I'm also like, I deserve this. Yeah. This was my fault. And I'm also questioning, man, that stupid sister. I mean, like, why does Father Bing have to, cater to that? Where I have it established that I have it arranged that the sisters are going to be next to the regular nuns, and me as a missionary, as a philosopher, supposed to be, maybe one day becoming a priest. Em and I supposed to be with the freaking priest? Like, hello. So, but then going back to I deserve to be punished.
Yeah.
So okay, so now I go back to Delaware. I go back to my prison of love, my solitary confinement in the chapel, and because I've been programmed to seek suffering, Father Bing comes. He comes back after like a month, and I tell him, "Hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I want to repair for the sins that I did in Puerto Rico." Yeah. And he said, "Okay, you're gonna spend 3 months in the basement." So the basement, and that's again the solitary confinement. The basement was, we nicknamed it the end times bunker or the end times dungeon, because the idea was that when the end comes, we have everything ready. So we had like bicycles with batteries to, like to get the light bulbs running. We had like a small, like a well for our showers. We had all these like end times food, flashlights. So I stayed there for 3 months, and I wanted to bring that up because when I came out of it, and when I came back home, years later, I didn't know what it felt to be touched by someone who loved me. I was used to being beaten by a belt, or I was trained to beat myself with the belt. I was used to being slapped. I was used to being sleep deprived, food deprived. I'd be put on absolute silence for months on end. For the year, I can't speak. I have to write things down and show it to other members, because if I say a word, okay, no breakfast.
Yeah.
So when I went home, and my mom told me that later, that when she would touch me, I would involuntarily recoil. And I'm going back to the history. It started making sense. There I wanted to seek. I joined seeking God's love. I went there seeking doing something good, but instead I got beatings. Instead I got food deprivation. Instead I got humiliations, public humiliations. And so that warm touch of a mother, my body just wasn't used to it. And I'm still um I'm not 100%,
Yeah.
but I'm way better than, now I can hug people and nothing. There was never any sexual abuse that happened to me. To other members, I'm aware that some things did happen, but even that kind of abuse of uh, not allowing touch, not allowing a person to see, you can't look at other people. It's a sin. So it's really taking me a long time to untangle myself from these chains. And there still are some chains that I'm trying to break free from.
Yes. Well, Ryan, there's a lot to break free from. What you experienced is extreme and extraordinarily extreme. It's very intense. I'm so sorry that that happened. Yeah. So, may I ask you a little bit about the solitary confinement experience?
Yes, I'm an open book, so you can ask me anything. And I think I've processed for a few years where I find it necessary to be an open book, because someone else might have gone through what I did, but no one else wants to speak out because it's humiliating. Me speaking about it, I mean, a, it's not something to be proud of. But if me being transparent helps someone else out, then it's all for me. It's worth me coming out of that shell. And it's not a 1 day thing. I've taken the time to get out of that uh, mental prison, because it was a mental prison.
Yeah.
So in Delaware, because I was sent to be a missionary for 3 months, there were secrets that were being kept from us, which I was just like questioning, and there were things that were happening which were bothering me. And I was sort of a missionary in Delaware, where like I would join like a prayer meeting. I mean, it wasn't anything fancy, but I loved it.
Yeah.
We'd go to the house of the parishioners. We'd pray with them, and then we'd have coffee and we chit chat, and it was lovely, just, and it was like the closest I had to affection, just that
Yes.
human interaction.
Yeah.
But I noticed that like many of the missionaries and Father Bing and the superiors in Delaware, we are allowed in Delaware, but they're going to Los Angeles where we've been kicked out, or they're going other places where we've been kicked out, or we're not even given like, real permission to be in these locations. So I remember questioning, why are we sending? We're so few here. Why are we sending our priests, our brothers, to North Carolina, to New Jersey, to LA? Why are we sending them there where we're not able to work in the open, or there's like these like blocks? And why can't we focus our attention here in Delaware? Like, come on, it does not make sense. It doesn't make sense, because you're going to North Carolina like once every 4 months, or once a year, and then they'll go to Puerto Rico, and then they'll go to Italy, and then they'll go here, and then they'll go there. My and what they do is, so kind of like going back to 1994, where they have all these retreats, and they come once a year. It's like they land, and they tell the people that you can't really trust the rest of the church. So wait for us till we get back. And I was like, that's not right, because now these people, they don't trust anyone else for like spiritual guidance, and they only trust our priests. But it's like, you don't even know them.
Yeah.
How about here in Delaware? That's where we are allowed. So then the priest announced, not Father Bing, but the superior, he announced in the morning after our long ass morning prayers, he's like, okay, well, uh, and my nickname was, or the new name they gave me, and I think you've also experienced
Yes.
new names. My
Yes.
new name was Brother Joseph Maria.
Yeah.
So the announcement was yesterday, Brother Joseph Maria, he has he came up to me requesting that he wanted to be in prayer full time. So I'm granting his request. So it was bullshit. It's like, so the way the chapel is formed, it's a place where you go and pray, but there you have to be in, of course, absolute silence. And there we have, like, for Catholics, you call it the Eucharist. So for the Eucharist, um, the way the cult viewed it was, um, well, they took something Catholic and they ran with it.
Yeah.
So now I have to be in there from when I wake up 1:30 in the morning until someone relieves me at 9 or 10 p.m. And I can't speak. I can't freaking stretch. I can't, if I want to use the restroom, I have to ring the bell. I can't eat in there unless I get relieved, someone to temporarily relieve me. And sometimes I would see the food like at a distance, but I can't eat it because I'm in the presence of God. So it's like, so and it was the way, his name is Father Jose. The way he presented it to the community was that I had requested this. I wanted to be a prisoner of love and to stay, and that by doing this, I'll be providing the prayer power, supporting the missionaries who are going to be traveling to different countries. And so it's another. It really pissed me off because it's like, dude, like, hello, like, dude, like, it was just so manipulative, and the rest of the community, the rest of the members who had nothing to do with it, they were like, wow, Brother Joseph, thank you, you're praying for us, you're going to offer yourself. That is so admirable. But going back to obedience, how I established earlier, for obedience to be more meritorious, you cannot react, you cannot speak up. So I had to be humble, and it's like, amen, thy will be done.
Yeah. Oh. So did that actually happen when you were back in Delaware after you had been able to do a mission and then you badmouthed to the sister and then you were punished in Delaware? And then was this announcement after that 3 months or?
No, so actually, that the solitary confinement in the chapel was first.
Yes.
And every now and then, the way I see it is like, you're drowning someone, you're putting someone's head in the water, and they like take me out to breathe, and I think, okay, you can go here for a little bit, for like a 2 hour prayer meeting. You can go to the prayer meeting and be normal, and then come back and you go back to your cell. So it's like a freak show. I'm the exhibit, if that's what you call it. I'm the show. After, because they needed a Spanish speaker, so it's like around my ninth to 12th month of being in this place.
Oh.
I'm the Spanish speaker. I'm going to be sent to Puerto Rico. So, but the hardest thing was that I hadn't spoken Spanish in such a long time.
Yeah.
I'm speaking mostly English, Latin, or some Filipino, and it's funny because in Puerto Rico, I was the MC with another brother. And up to now, me and him are best of friends. He's a great guy.
Neat.
But my obedience is to translate and to like work with this MC. So we're like,
Mm.
he's doing a show. He's like, hey, Brother Joseph, what do you think about this? And I'm translating what he says. And then I'm responding to him. And then I'm translating it was just so terrible. And then like I'm hearing this, like the sisters, like how much you suck, how bad you are, like you shouldn't even be on mission.
Wow.
That thing really bothers me.
Yeah.
So after that let's say 1 year of solitary confinement, I got sent to Puerto Rico. I stand up for myself. And at the time, I regretted it. I was so ashamed. Now, that was the best thing I could have done. Stand up for myself. I wish I would have maybe had more confidence, but they really stripped that from me.
Right.
So because of that violation of standing up for myself, now I'm contaminated by evil. So now I have to repair my relationship with Christ. So now I get sent back to Delaware, and then for 3 months, Father Bing said I'm supposed to be in isolation in the end times basement, which I called it the end times bunker or end times dungeon. And I remember being in there
Any
pissed.
windows?
I I don't remember. What I remember is we have our house, and um, it used to be a regular, doorway with the stairs going down, downstairs, steps to go downstairs. But during my time in the Philippines, they've converted it, they've changed it. So now when you open that door, it looks like a pantry, but underneath there's a trap door where you go down, because in the end times
Yeah.
when someone comes in, they're not going to be able to find us.
Yeah.
So we had that going, and so now, and you see all this water and all this food, but I was pissed because I'm thinking to myself, man, it's not even the end times, and the food there was from 2006, and it had been or expired 2007. During that time, I was in the Philippines, so this is like around 2011.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, how hard is it for them to get that money that our parents send and get me some real food down here? Because I'm by
Yeah.
myself and I'm pissed off. So I didn't really obey that. I mean, I did stay for a while, but we had a farm, so I go upstairs and I chill with the animals. I chill with the goats. And I remember like one of the brothers was like, "Hey, like, aren't you supposed to be in the basement?" I'm like, "Pfft, I don't care. Like, what the hell? Like, what are they gonna do about it?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know exactly. So whatever. Like I was just so, and I was ready to leave. It's like
Yeah.
it's now it's occurring to me. This isn't where God wants me.
Yeah.
Now at that time I'm like 25, and things are happening in the diocese and it has to do with mental health, exorcisms, and things were happening where people are reporting now to Delaware, to the diocese of Wilmington. And now I know that my community is on the brink of getting kicked out. And I'm thinking, well, I freaking told you so.
Yeah.
But whatever. Um, and I'm already in that place in my mind where I'm ready to leave.
Yeah.
But when I told them, hey, look, I've already I've already, you know, done my vows. I've done it to the letter, except for, ditching the dungeon.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been very obedient.
Yeah.
I'm ready. My vows are supposed to expire in like 2 months. Before the expiration, I know we're gonna be kicked out soon. It looks like things are gonna go that way. I want to move on. I want to go back home. I want to like pretend, not leave in bad terms.
Yeah.
No, I'm thankful for most of the stuff that happened, but I'm just ready to move on. Maybe I'll find a wife. So already at this time, I'm because in my isolation and in my solitary confinement, I finally had the time to think. Because when you're with the community, you're
Yep.
always busy. There's no way you can think. There's no way you can use critical thinking. And I've come to the conclusion that this place isn't for me. And they're like, well, why do you say that? You made your vows originally. I'm like, yeah, but in the Catholic Church, you take 3 vows, they expire, you're free to make a decision. I'm free. And they're like, no, you're still under obedience. I was like, really? I was like, but look, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be put in jail. I didn't sign up to be beaten or to be rude or to have this rude treatment done to me. Like what happened?
Good for you, Ryan.
But
That's so,
they threw it in my face.
yeah.
Then now the response was, "But you're rude." I mean,
Yeah.
like for example, me not doing the isolation in the dungeon, and
Yes.
me being like, "Oh, what the hell are you gonna do about it?"
Yep.
It's like, "Oh, you have an attitude," and I was like, "Yeah, because I got it from you all. I got it from the group. I didn't sign up to be here. I signed up to be a freaking missionary, and I couldn't even go to my grandmother's funeral. When I opened up about it, they said it's my fault. I didn't get to see her, so everything was my fault. And I'm like, I don't get this." And they're like, "Brother Joseph, you took your vows of obedience, and we're not. It's like we're not gonna let that go. You still have time." So, um, like the next a few days later, they're like, "Here's your ticket. You're going to the Philippines." So they sent me back to the Philippines.
Wow. This is fascinating. So they just hold the power card over you. And then it's amazing with the language and belief system, how it can just be turned back around on you always to make you the wrong one or the one that's impure, sinful, what have you. And it's so hard to think outside of that when you've been in it. So, did that actually shift you again a little back, or had something been broken at that point that you would kind of never return to falling into thinking, okay, oh, now they're right. They're actually right. Oh, I was sinning because I didn't do my full penance in the basement.
Before I left Delaware, I was allowed to call my family, and they told me that, or they asked me like, "Mijo, like what's wrong?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, I mean, nothing. I mean, because I'm trained, I'm programmed to make them look good.
Yeah.
You got to make this group look amazing." But they hear it in my voice. I mean, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? I'm like, no, everything's okay. And they're like, "We spoke to Father Bing." Because at that time, my parents have left Los Angeles and now they moved to San Antonio, where I currently live. And they told me that they spoke to Father Bing. And now it's getting into a bit of the psychology. Um, Father Bing would have us do temperament test to check our, I guess there's like four temperaments: sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, and melancholic, I believe. Is that all
Yes.
of them?
Yeah.
And the sanguine personality, that's like the one that's going to be the most lustful, and so these ones need to be more, I guess you need to be more hard on them. But what Father Bing said was that all of the members, and at that point I'm already becoming like an elder member, so
Yeah.
I've been in there for quite a while. um he's like, you need to become, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, if it's choleric.
Yes.
You need to have that choleric leadership, take the reins kind of personality. So if you're a superior and you're sanguine or phlegmatic or melancholic, that doesn't do. Throw away that personality. Be a boss.
Yeah.
The problem here, and this is where it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
Me stepping up to that sister and getting in her face, because I'm a sanguine. I'm like pure or impure. Uh, I'm like a impure, pure sanguine. And anyways, so my parents were like, we spoke to Father Bing, and he says that you have choleric personalities where you yelled at the sister, and that you're trying to like be the boss. And he's like, what's going on with the family? And my family is like, what the hell do we have to do with it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten the original question, but it really had my parents like thinking like, what's wrong with you? Now,
Yeah.
like it's going back to me, like Father Bing saying that you're like having these anger problems, and I'm still trying to save face for them, and I'm thinking, man, these guys aren't. They're not saving my face. Like I did the punishment. I mean, I was, I guess, laxed on the isolation in the basement, but I've done most of it. And then I go to the Philippines. So I guess that was like the question on, how he was when I went to the Philippines.
Mm.
I was lost because it's like here, my body, my mind is still saying I have to stay here, but just the emotions in my body are this isn't right. I've already discerned that I wanted to leave. They said I can't.
Yeah.
I want to get married. I see something in my life. I want to, maybe study, but they just kept on stripping me and stripping me and stripping me to the point where there's like no Ryan left. And he was ready to be dead.
Oh.
So that was just going back to the Philippines. And the other members who and because you asked earlier, like my relationship with them, I had this huge brotherhood with them, but the Filipino brothers, they don't know what happened in America.
Yeah.
And so, but now when I went to the Philippines, I've become I'm not sure if I can cuss. Well, I'll try to avoid cussing, but I become I'm not going to mess around. Like now, it's like now they've erased my Latino culture, my Hernandez. They've erased that. It's like now it's like, you know what? I'm going to be tough. I'm going to be me because I think God has made me to be me for a reason. I mean, this whole personality thing, I'm starting to see it's manipulative. It's like why, if I am a sanguine or whatever the hell I am, why is that offensive to God?
Yeah.
And why is it that me stepping up to myself is used as ammunition to prove, oh, you're not holy enough? So all these questions, but now I'm no longer so much of a go to the corner and hide or take the punishments. Now I'm like I feel like I'm evolving into an adult man. Because I joined at 16, and for 7, 8 years, I was the child who couldn't speak up to them because all the abuse, all the punishments were a gift from God. But now I'm thinking now with more critical Catholic and just being just having using my reason.
Yeah.
But it's conflicting. I mean, it's just so conflicting.
Yep.
So in the Philippines,
well, and scary, right? I mean, it's actually a quite terrifying position to be in because you so also don't want to trust yourself and then be wrong.
Yeah, the end is going to happen. So it's like a part of me is like, all right, Ryan, you got to stick this out because going back to my brother leaving, I'm the last hope.
Right.
So these things are still programmed in.
We so hope that you enjoyed this episode. These podcasts were edited by Nathan Lemke. If you'd like to work with him, please reach out to me and I will put him in touch with you. And please stay tuned for part of Leaving the Cult, the season 2 song written by Jaya Suri, and for all things related to Jaya, her music, ways that you can support her, check out the show notes.